Hi, Dr. Pam. So I just told you in my previous video that gave you a little overview of what my autoimmune issue is, which is eczema, and some of the things that I wanted to talk about you now was some of the things that I did to help to overcome that. So just giving you again an overview, eczema is my specific autoimmune disease, and definitely my skin is the canary in the coal mine. So if I'm eating foods that I shouldn't, if I have a high amount of stress, if I'm around actually even a lot of toxic chemicals, I will immediately start to break out in eczema, and it's always on my face where everybody can see it. So again, when I was in school, and if anyone's listening that went to school with me, I feel like I was a little bit of a hermit then, because it was so emotionally devastating to have that all over my face. I mean, and again, I can't describe to you that it wasn't like a little patch. It was literally all over my face, this incredibly itchy, dry skin that I would itch, and then I would constantly have dry skin all over me because my skin was constantly peeling and flaking all the time from the eczema, and it was so incredibly painful. It hurt to take a shower, it hurt to touch it, it would hurt to put different creams on it, because even a lot of the natural creams would unfortunately burn. And so everything that I would do to try to make it better would make it worse. And so I found just leaving it alone was kind of the best route to go. So ultimately, what changed my skin and started to turn it around was actually Chinese medicine. As I got further into the Chinese medicine program, I started to learn about Chinese herbal formulas and acupuncture. And when I would go and have an acupuncture treatment, it almost felt like I had hot pokers in me because my skin was so hot and so inflamed. And when the needles went in, it was like I could feel all this heat just draining out of them. And I would actually even look better after the treatment. And stress was a big component to this. And the acupuncture would also help to regulate some of my stress levels. The other thing that I did was Chinese herbs, and the Chinese herbal formulas. The thing that I really like about Chinese medicine is that just because you have eczema doesn't mean you have the same cause as the next person. And in Chinese medicine, we're treating patterned symptoms. So you could have 3 or 4 people come in with eczema, but the reason they have eczema is different. And so I chose formulas that matched what I had going on. And when you have a really hot skin condition, the worst thing you can actually do is eat garlic. And this is where the Chinese medicine thinking is totally different than Western thinking, because we're taught that, oh, eat garlic, it's good for your immune system. But in Chinese medicine, if you look at somebody's tongue and it's incredibly red, and their skin is red and it's dry, and maybe you take their pulse and it feels really rapid and it's really high, that's a sign that they have a lot of heat. And if you were to use something like garlic, it's a very hot herb, and it's actually going to feed that heat, and it's going to make it worse. So what you want to do is you want to choose herbs that are more cooling. And I think that's the magic of Chinese medicine, is that all these formulas, and some of them are 2,000 and 3,000 years old, everything is based on balance. And so you're trying to create balance in the body. So when you put a herbal formula together, there might be a bunch of cooling herbs and maybe one that's slightly warming, just so that you don't go in and throw the body completely out of balance. So that was definitely a turning point for me. And then also taking specific nutrients that were for the skin. Some of those being things like zinc or selenium. And ironically, those are the things that actually help thyroid function. And so during this whole time, I would have had a lot of thyroid symptoms, and I wasn't necessarily hypothyroid, but I was what we would call subclinically hypothyroid. And that I think I had, most of my life where I had most of those symptoms of low thyroid, which can be dry skin, constipation, weight gain, fatigue. I mean, extreme fatigue, where I remember trying to get on an exercise bike and I couldn't even ride for 10 minutes because I was just so incredibly tired and fatigued. So as the years went on, and I learned more and educated myself, then I started to address some of the underlying hormonal issues that had been going on, and the biggest one being my thyroid. And the big turning point there was actually when I lost my hair. And as you can see, I have a lot of hair, and literally, I mean, I lost chunks and chunks of hair where you could actually physically see that the hair was thinner, and I started to lose all of my curl. It became very dry and wiry and coarse. And then I started to treat the thyroid, because that was the big sign that, okay, you really need to do something about this. It's kind of at that crisis point. So in my next video, I'll talk about what I did for my thyroid and my other hormones to help to get those back on track.